I reinstalled Starfield this past weekend because I was curious of how this huge genre-defining space RPG held up 2 years later. Does Bethesda's first new IP in over 2 decades even compare to their other masterpieces like Skyrim and Fallout? I mean, it's kind of wild how far this game has fallen off the radar. Like, I legit have completely forgotten about it, but I got curious. It's been 2 years almost, so maybe it was just one of those games that you need to play after the hype dies down. Maybe it's worth jumping back in. Maybe there was something that I missed the first time around. But spoiler alert, it's kind of just complicated. Booting it up again in 2025, the first thing that I noticed is how little has really changed. I mean, yeah, there has technically been some updates and some patches, a few quality of life tweaks here and there, but it's not like a big overhaul or revival happened. There's no expansions, no significant new systems, nothing that really redefines the experience and keeps it fresh. If you're like me and you bounced off the game in 2023, there's not a whole lot waiting for you now. And that's kind of the main thing here. 2 years later, Starfield still kind of just feels like a game with a really solid foundation that no one even bothered to build on. Like someone put up the scaffolding for a skyscraper and then just walked away. When you first start playing, it's got that Bethesda charm just built in, so it's enjoyable regardless. You're exploring strange planets, hoarding junk, customizing your spacecraft, crafting, etc. But then you start noticing all the same problems that were there at launch. Planets still feel lifeless, and cities just kind of feel like a disconnected stage set. Dialogue and NPCs are still in classic Bethesda style, which just kind of makes it stiff and awkward for 2025 or even 2023 for that matter. And the whole game has this weird disjointedness that makes it hard to stay immersed. It's like time stopped for the game. And if you go back to those initial launch reviews, you'll see a lot of the same stuff that people are still saying now, and that's the problem. Skyrim got multiple expansions, Fallout 4 got Far Harbor and Nuka World. They built on those games. Even Fallout 76, which we know was kind of just a disaster at launch, eventually they even got their act together with all those updates and Wastelanders and everything that happened there. But Starfield, for whatever reason, it never got that second wind. And maybe we're still early yet, but if that was the case, Bethesda is on a really weird timeline, considering it's been almost 2 years without any news. There was this tiny window after launch where people were still hopeful, like, yeah, okay, the game isn't perfect, but at least the bones are there, the bones are good, and everyone assumed that DLC was going to be coming and it was just going to build on the base game. Maybe some new quest lines, more, dynamic planets, or at least something to bring something into the universe to make it not so, I guess, I hate to say the word boring, but I think for the lack of a better word, that is kind of just how it was. Instead, we got pretty much complete silence aside from a few blog posts. We got some vague promises about mod support and performance enhancements, and then we got nothing meaningful from any of that. Everyone expected some announcement from this past Xbox Game Showcase, and we got absolutely nothing, which a lot of people think was the last hope for the game, and maybe Bethesda really has cut the wire. It just feels like they gave up, which is incredibly uncharacteristic of Bethesda. Or maybe they never planned to really support it in the first place, which would kind of suck, but maybe this was just supposed to be a one and done. They drop it, patch it a little bit, and then move on to Elder Scrolls, I guess it would have been. So it's still strange that they would have pushed this game so hard. They hype it up for years, decades in development, and everything else that they said about the game. It was supposed to be this massive new franchise, and now it's just sitting there kind of abandoned. And don't get me wrong, Starfield has plenty of aspects that are awesome. Flying around space, building your dream ship, messing with different factions, and it has these little pockets of fun. I loaded up my old save and just wandered around for a while. I also started a new save when I re-downloaded the game, and for a moment I kind of got pulled back in. But that feeling does not last the way that it should in an RPG game, because the more you play, the more you remember why you stopped in the first place. There's not much new to find. It's the same gameplay loop over and over again. You land on a new planet, you scan some rocks, you fight some enemies, get some resources, and you go back onto your ship, and you rinse and repeat for the most part. The procedural generation that was supposed to make, space exploration endless just kind of made everything feel the same. And the story was cool, but probably more on the lackluster side from what we typically expect from Bethesda and with what they could have done with this larger than life game. I mean, 2 years later, which is not that long, I really don't even remember the story. I mean, the whole like mysterious artifacts leading to a higher plane of existence thing, it sounded cool, but it didn't really stick. There really wasn't any emotional impacts that pulled at your heartstrings like Skyrim and got you super connected. It's serviceable, don't get me wrong, but that's kind of the word that sums up all of Starfield, just serviceable. It's not broken, it works, but it doesn't inspire much. And not every game has to be some, inspirational masterpiece. It is a video game after all, but I think everyone just expected more from this title. What really surprises me is how little the community seems to care anymore, like they've already given up on the game. Like, remember when Skyrim came out and people were making memes and sharing their builds, and that community energy lasted for years and years? With Starfield, it kind of fizzled out within like 4 to 6 months, give or take. There was a brief modding boom thrown in there, but even that hasn't really taken off in the way that some of Bethesda's older games have. I think part of it is that Starfield doesn't have the same personality as some of those other games. It feels sterile, like there's nothing quirky or weird or memorable about it like how there is in Skyrim or Fallout. There's no talking dog bugs, there's no arrow to the knee moments. It's all very clean, very serious, and just kind of forgettable. And that brings me to the bigger question, what actually happened to Starfield? Why did Bethesda let this game stagnate? Was it internal priorities? Did Elder Scrolls just eat up all the attention and resources? Was Starfield always meant to be just a tech test, like a stepping stone for the new engine and tools before they moved on to the real flagship titles? We don't really know. It sure feels like they moved on quickly, like they launched it, patched the worst bugs, and then quietly shifted focus to the next thing. And that sucks for the people who actually loved this game, because there is certainly a niche of players out there who genuinely enjoyed Starfield, people who like that slow, methodical gameplay. And those people have basically been left hanging, and Bethesda hasn't given them anything new to hang on to. Not even a solid like, hey, here's what we're working on update, it's just pretty much radio silence. So 2 years later, if you're thinking about reinstalling it, or if you've never played it in the first place, you're not missing out on some hidden gem that got better with time, at least not yet. It's basically the same game that launched in 2023 with a few minor tweaks. And to answer the overarching question of the video of what happened to Starfield, honestly, nothing happened to Starfield, and that's exactly the problem. The game was not a disaster, it wasn't cyberpunk at launch levels of broken, but it's also not thriving. It's a weird in-between case. The game is technically fine, but kinda just dead. It didn't crash and burn, it just kind of fizzled away slowly, and maybe that's worse. Because now when people bring up Starfield, it's not with disappointment or frustration, it's more like, oh yeah, Starfield, I kind of forgot about that game. And for a game that was supposed to be Bethesda's, magnum opus, the next big thing, that's gotta hurt. Do you guys think Starfield has any chance of making a comeback in the future? Let me know down in the comments, but besides for that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.